that's going on. FLIRs, how do they just shut off? How do batteries get drained? They do. I have audio, hours and hours and hours and hours of audio that I did a few years ago. I rarely audio anything anymore, but it's like there would be nights where I'd set my audio up, 30 minutes into it, it's off. I had one time that went backwards when I turned it on. I was like, what the heck is this? It was going backwards. I didn't hit anything I shouldn't have hit. It was off when I went to do it. Now, did they do that? Did they flip something so that when I flipped it on to listen, to go back? Yeah, they could if they want to. The one thing I know from my experience, they can pretty well do what it is they choose to do. The eye shine. More and more people are seeing this. And in places where they know that this is not from an exterior light. It was in a gathering I used to have every year in Georgia.
It's you on the mic. The mic.
Oh,
We gotta get back to it's a live stream, right? Keep signaling to you.
Oh,
Yeah.
just say hey. I take hey real well. And thank you. But, you know, it's that existence of what they do that people classify as paranormal. I want to tell you this real quick story that happened when I was a young teenager. And it's people would classify it as paranormal, but it wasn't for many of the people I grew up with. There was no man who was a Creek Indian in the town that I grew up in. And he never had a car. He lived way out in the country. And he would walk to town and get his groceries and walk back to town. Well, I was always wanting to go talk to him, and my grandmother would say, no, that is disrespectful. You do not go up to him and start asking him questions about stuff. So I didn't. Well, one day after school, we're riding around, and we see him at the end of Main Street. At that time, we drug Main up and down, and he was getting ready to turn with his groceries and go to his house, which was, I don't know, 5, 6, some miles, I don't know, quite a ways out. Well, I wanted to pick him up and take him, and I said, I'm going to pull over and take him home, give him a ride. And everybody that's with me, no, 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 don't. He's got medicine, don't. Some of you will know what that means, and some of you won't. But I didn't stop. I think they would have all got out if he would have got in. So anyway, we drive on out to where he lived. Now, I drove down the middle of this road. This was a rough old road, and I went fairly slow and careful. No car passed me from behind. No car passed me coming towards me. We were the only car on the road. When we got to his house, he was walking up on his porch with his groceries. Now, how'd he do that? He remembered. And that's what's happening now for humans. We're remembering. And that's what awakening is about, remembering who we are and what we can do. I am assured that humans can travel as orbs as well, if we can remember. How do we do that? We know how. For me, orbs are another mode of transportation. It's an energy change in your vibrational being, and that's what comes. is those orbs. And I was told humans can do that too. You just have to remember who you are. Okay. I don't know if you're going to be able to see him in this. I had another picture that's a little better than this, but I couldn't find it. I'll point him out to you. He is right here. See his arm and his legs kind of come down. I don't see him off at all, but I know where he was. I was down in the woods and was taking pictures of everything. And I called him the old white one. Now, not because he appears white, thank you, in this when he is what people call cloaking, but because he was actually white. He was very old. He was an elder. And I was taking pictures, and it was at this point that I got the photo. I mean, if any of you afterwards want to look at that better, it's on my laptop, and you can definitely see it better on there. The interesting thing about this is he's not connected to the ground. He is what a lot of people call transitioning from being in the physical to going to where you can't see him. Well, you're good. I usually always have somebody else do that. Thank you. And it was at this point where he was almost where I couldn't see him. How many of you have had an actual encounter where you saw one and he disappeared? Okay. It does happen. Too many accounts that it happened to negate it. That's where we were several years ago with even sightings. People were saying, oh, you're just seeing this, or oh, you're just seeing that. And then more and more and more started coming up with what they were seeing. I saw this one. He was doing this. I saw one over there. He jumped up and then, he took off. And so you start getting thousands of reports. You have to say, okay, wait a minute. And these are all in different parts of the United States. Somebody's seeing something. Not all these people are delusional. And I've been called that too. And I own it, actually. I'm pretty happy in my delusion. I can tell you that. So yes, this does happen. I'll go a little further. I've been in this state myself. I have an ancient that I called Kashima. That was his name he gave me. He is what I call a teacher. My grandmother told me about the teachers when I was young. I never thought one would come to me. I didn't ever think I would be doing what I'm doing, but I am. And so, what he has done is talk with me. He has very much what I call a grandfather energy. And his teachings have helped me so much in who I am as a person. I was never a bad person, but he has taught me how important it is to open your heart. Not just your mind, but open your heart. Shift your paradigm, and things could happen for you. I'm not going to tell you they will happen. I'm not in charge. I don't make their choices for them. They do. When Rick Taylor came and saw the family, I did not ask them to do that. They did it because they chose to do it. So one day, Kashima and I were walking, and there were times where he was in physical form walking with me. And we would talk. And I was asking him some questions about this cloaking. He calls it the place where they go. But I was asking him that. Well, as we were walking, there was this flock of wild turkeys that was getting ready to cross the road down in front of us. Now, anyone knows anything about wild turkeys, if they even sense that you're there, they're gone. Well, when we got by them, they took off. We went on down, turned around, and when we were coming back up, the turkeys had kind of filtered back in. One was like from here to that first row. Before we get all the way up there, we're talking about this place where they go. And like a little girl, I said, "Hide me. Can you hide me?" That quick, I couldn't be seen. Now, how do I know I couldn't be seen? Those turkeys couldn't see me. There was a turkey right there. I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a turkey right there. I can almost spit on him. He's that close to me. None of them saw us. At that point, I began to feel my body. Wait a minute. My body felt exactly like it feels. The only thing different was my feet weren't touching the ground. In this picture right here, his feet are not touching the ground.
I can see him.
Yeah. And so the connection there is a change in vibrational energy. And when that happens, this can happen. Well, we continued on past the turkeys, and I'm looking at Kashima. He looks exactly the same. I'm still continually feeling my body because I know they can't see me. Well, we continue our walk on down and go down one way, and as we're coming back, he begins to, what I call, bring me back. And that was done in increments. And the reason I know it was done in increments, not only from how it felt, but the fact of watching the turkeys. It was like he took me to this point. And then when he began to take me to another point, the turkeys started getting nervous, like something was going on. And then when he brought me again, the turkeys' heads went up and boom, they were gone. Now the only effects of that was I felt really mellow, very calm, very peaceful. And we walked back on up, he left, I went into the house and laid down for a little while. How does that happen? It happens. And whether you believe me or not, I'm okay with that. I know that's a stretch. The first time I ever told that story was on a podcast several years ago, and oh my goodness, the chat was very, very busy throwing some names around, which was okay. I'm fine with that. I'm not going to be disrespectful to you. I don't care what you say to me. It's just not going to happen. And the people who know me will tell you that. It's not in me to do that. So yes, this is happening. What about quantum physics? Entanglement. All of these things that science has said, whoa, wait a minute. We got to look at this now. We need to figure this out. I know back in, I think it was 2014, I was going to be at a gathering in Oregon, and Ron Moorhead was going to be there, for those of you who know who Ron Moorhead is. And we had been talking, and he said, when you come, I've got some papers I want you to look over, and I want to talk to you about what I think is going on, and I want you to explain to me how the experience goes for you. Quantum physics. That's what he was talking about. And he had been working on that for quite a while. So my experiences with what quantum physics and energy are telling people now, that's what was going on. That's a simple thing. Or is it? Whoops. Okay, now we're going to talk about something that's really hard for people. But healing. Can they help heal you? How can that be? It's like anything else. If it happens enough times, you start to go, wait a minute, I've got to look at this. Maybe I don't believe it, but if you have a true scientific mind, you are going to look at it from all angles. You're not going to throw it out. So many people have reported having a healing while being in close proximity to the Bigfoot people. Healings of various kinds of illness, from cancer to severe skin problems. I'm not saying the Bigfoot people are a deity, but I am saying I do believe they know how to use the energy for many things. This is primal energy. This is energy from the beginning, not primitive, but from the beginning. You can see this type of energy in Qigong, in Reiki, in Tai Chi, in some of the Eastern modalities of healing. This is all that same energy flow. I'm going to give you some experiences that people have related to me. One of them I saw with my actual own eye. Well, two of them actually I saw with my own eyes. The first one was a man who was really troubled with gout, and he just could not get over it. His medication, his diet, nothing was working. Well, he was working on a habituation area, and he would just go out and sit where they were supposed to be. He would take notes of what he heard, what was going on. He was going at it purely from the research, scientific way of documenting everything that was going on. Well, he got to noticing after he'd be there for a week or two, his gout would just go away. And then if something happened that he had to be away from there for a week or so, he would start having problems with his gout again. This happened enough times that he asked me, do you think my being there where they are is healing my gout? I said, it's not important what I think. What's important is what you think. What are you thinking about this? When you're around them a lot, you don't have trouble with it. Now, why is that? When you're not with them, it starts to creep back in. So it wasn't my place to tell him, oh yeah, they're doing it. Because that's not important. What's important is for him to believe that. Now, if he created that in his mind, then that's a plus too, because it took the gout away. Was down here over by Honabi camping with a group one time, and there was a woman there camping with her husband, and she had really bad problems with skin issues. And when it would break out, she had to go through a series, I think, of steroids and